There are few things on Earth that are quite as luxurious and thrilling as an exotic car. But despite how beautiful these machines are, there are some people who will go out of their way to put a stop to their existence. Who knows what their beef is? Maybe they just need something to take their anger out on. But I'd guess they're probably just jealous. You'll see what I mean. Let's get it on! Here's a tip for anyone who owns a gorgeous fast car. When you're driving around, be on the lookout for any men with gray hair wearing skinny jeans and traveling on foot. They're the population group most likely to be wishing they could have a midlife crisis and buy a sports car, but instead they've just become insanely jealous because they can't afford it. They will intercept you and attempt to sabotage you, and to make matters worse, it appears they carry rocks in their pockets for just such an occasion. Oh! On the bright side, you can rest easy knowing that getting that rock into the pockets of such tight jeans means they probably come away with bruises on their behind. You know how some people think they look cool no matter what they're doing? This guy obviously thinks that running over the top of this Lamborghini makes him a parkour expert. Parkour! It doesn't, but you'd never be able to tell him that. Luckily, you don't have to, because the owner of the car did a better job of proving how uncool this guy is than any of us could have hoped for. He's practically pleading for his life on the floor, and then he gets knocked out and some pedestrians have to half-heartedly come to his rescue. He'll probably wake up claiming he's an MMA fighter and everyone should back off. We can see straight through you, dude. Keying a car is a classic staple of real-life vengeful spite. It's simple and effective. Usually, though, it's a spur-of-the-moment thing that happens in a restaurant car park, so this guy is a bit of a mystery. He doesn't seem like he knows the owner, maybe he does, but it looks more like he's just angry at that Lamborghini for existing at all. Poor thing, it's just sitting in its driveway, minding its own business. Whatever's going on, this guy definitely doesn't know he's on camera. He's doing everything way too casually. It must have come as a shock when he was sued half to death by the car's owner later. Some people would say that if someone hurts you, it's only right to hit them where it hurts. Other people will look at this and say, it wasn't the car's fault that your boyfriend's a cheater. It's not like it had any say in whose house it was forced to drive him to. There's no need to take your anger out on its beautiful paint job. Now it has to drive around everywhere with that label stuck to it. At least as a small consolation, whoever did this lost their shoe in the process. And judging by the state of that car, she's probably one of those people who cares more about her shoes than she does about her children, so at least the car got its revenge. Military tactics state that it's always good to be on higher ground. It seems like that's true for people who want to show how much they hate exotic cars too. See, someone in one of the apartments above this street had an amazing advantage when these fancy cars rolled past. They were able to throw an egg at it from the comfort of their own home, presumably without even needing to put pants on. Who needs a luxury car when you can have that kind of luxury as a jealous egg owner? There are plenty of people in the world who have dreamed of owning a sports car but just won't ever be able to afford it. It must hurt watching all those beautiful cars driving around when all you have is a bicycle. Lucky for this guy, he worked out how to get revenge in his own small, insignificant way by physically blocking this Lamborghini and irritating the owner. This is what vengeance looks like. A guy on a bike riding at a snail's pace for a few seconds illegally down the middle of a narrow London street in front of one of the fastest cars on Earth. You sure showed them. Now you just have to hope that you don't get a fine. There are cameras everywhere. There must be something about sports cars that prompts the primitive part of certain male brains to kick into action. The mere presence of a fast car makes insecure men insanely jealous. So jealous, in fact, that they will vandalize a car clearly belonging to someone with very good lawyers without even checking for security cameras first. We'll probably never know what causes this. It does make you wonder how they would behave if they owned one, though. Just picture this guy's reaction if someone did that to his exotic car. He'd surely be furious, probably start Googling the numbers of a few hitmen who caught the guy who did it. Let's hope for his sake the actual owner is a little less childish. The art of BMX is all about finding the coolest urban places to show off your skills on two wheels. You need to be able to do tricks on pretty much anything, so why not use a sports car? It's as good a place as any, right? Those sleek curves make a great ramp, and you're probably used to hearing adults shouting that you should have more respect. Just make sure that if you leave any tire marks across that shiny white paint job, that you're fast enough to get out of there before the owner comes back. There are ways to do things and ways not to do things. That's true for everything in this world, including getting angry at sports car owners. For example, swearing at a car might make you look stupid, but it's not necessarily wrong. Sitting on a car, though, isn't exactly something anyone wants to see, especially if you're a drunk man, but it's still not technically wrong. What is wrong about what this man's doing is that he's chosen to sit half naked on the end of the car that could run him over. Try the side of the car the next time you want to get your birthday suit on in public because you're an angry drunk, sir. It'll serve you well. The sleek, shiny, white, glass-fronted luxury car dealership is an image familiar to all of us. You probably can't help picturing it as we speak. Now, imagine it on fire. Actually, you don't have to. I can show you. It's not as pretty as I expected either. I guess fire is a bit punk for Mercedes-Benz. There's an aesthetic clash. Eat the Rich is a bit strong too. Surely, if you're going to get angry about rich people, Mercedes is a bit upper middle class. Go spray paint some Bugattis if you really want to get your point across. Fair enough though, Bugatti's security system is probably a bit more comprehensive. They wouldn't have been able to break in the first place. It's never justified to destroy a $750,000 Lamborghini with a sledgehammer, right? Well, maybe not, but the owner of this car thought differently. Yes, you heard that right. The owner of this car, the man who gave over $750,000 to own this car, hired these men with sledgehammers to destroy it.
Why, God, why?
Well, apparently he was angry with a mechanic who hadn't managed to fix an engine problem. I don't know about you, but I would have tried a different mechanic before destroying my own car, but to each his own, I guess. Common sense doesn't always come out on top, or at least I would have hired a steamroller or something, because those guys don't look like they're doing a very good job. I never thought I would say this, but if you want to take someone on with a bold display of aggression, you better hope they're up for a fight. Because if you angrily kick a Lamborghini and then the young people inside step out, not to fight you in a fit of rage, but to politely ask you why you did that, the whole situation will become very embarrassing for you very quickly. Suddenly, your anger turns into you wiping the scuff mark off the car with a tissue and making pathetic excuses for your behavior.
But you shouldn't come and kick people's car.
I apologize, man.
Yeah?
You told me why you did it.
While getting a lecture on social etiquette from someone 15 years younger than you. I'm sure that's not really what this guy had in mind.
Showing him a little thing and you come along and kick the car. It's not cool, yeah? So you apologize for that, right?
I did that.
Okay. You're sorry for that, yeah? Okay.
No, you made the bait. You cannot.
If you're going to steal and joyride an expensive car, you better make sure you're a criminal. I know that sounds confusing. What I mean is, you'd better not be a professional valet at a hotel. And you definitely shouldn't choose a car that belongs to someone who's a lot more buff than you. He's seriously lucky that all this guy decided to do was yell at him a bit.
Drive around, joyride my car? Yeah, I'm sure you joyride with him all the time, right? Joyride with him all the time, right?
Hopefully he has better things to do than come back to get revenge later, because he's really angry. The first rule in stealing cars is don't get caught. This guy really needs to stick to his day job. Seriously, he even still gets to drive the cars. It's not worth the risk. Of course, it's not just sports cars that inspire jealousy in people who don't own them. A nice motorcycle will do just as well. This guy on a bike sure takes his time contemplating just how angry he is that this motorcycle exists in the world but belongs to someone else. He has to stare at it while pretending not to stare at it for ages before he finally takes a sip of his on-hand wine like he thinks he's some kind of action hero before he finally strikes. Bikes, unfortunately, are pretty defenseless against getting kicked over. It doesn't do this guy any favors as far as making him look cool. You should have just kept pedaling, dude.